Welcome or welcome back to my... Hi there! Welcome or welcome back to my knitting channel. My name is Alona and today we are talking about my finished objects, my work in progress and some yarn. I have some new work in progress, I have some finished objects that will linger in WIP and I need your help, like really in different projects I will need your help. So if you're curious to hear more, please grab your coffee, grab your knitting, maybe some tea, whatever feels right. I have my tea over here and let's start. First finished object that I want to share with you is the one that I've shared previous time, like a ball of yarn and a swatch. I was hyper fixated on this PetiteKnit. This is PetiteKnit for MorecaKnit and this is Janette Cardigan, knitted with pure Lana and Kitsata in this beautiful navy color. All colors will be over here and also they are mentioned on my Ravelry page, so don't hesitate and go to my Ravelry. If you have some questions you can comment over here in the video below or on Ravelry, I'll also answer in there. So this is a round neck cardigan with kind of drop shoulders, somewhere in between of drop shoulder and satin sleeve, because you have kind of drop over here but not too significant, and you have tons of short rows over here to get a nice fit. Also you have a lot of double knitting for both of sides, and what is the most important feature of this cardigan, this is kind of like elevated basic, as we all love over here. Let me stand up. So there is, at the very bottom of this cardigan, you have a bit of a slit, which kind of helps not to cinch you at the very bottom. And I think that's really nice. Also, you have a lot of rib over here, as you can see. There are a lot of 1x1 rib over here. You have long cuffs, you have long hem, and you have kind of 1x1 rib over here as well. And also you have some amount of buttons, and I really like the fact that you're knitting those button bands in the same direction. So both of them are started at the very bottom and you go from the bottom to the top. So if I show closer it to you, you can see the direction of the stitches for both parts are identical, so that's kind of nice touch as well. And I think that she has at least one more pattern, like Paul cardigan, that's kind of really popular as well, that also features same idea, that you have rib over here but there is 2x2 rib, so you have 2x2 rib over here and you have button bands knitted in the same direction, I think also from bottom to top. And I think that I need to change this cardigan to something a little bit less warmer. 1 second. Nothing needed because I've added a lot of lining over here and that it's getting pretty hot sitting there. So let me show you a little bit of details of this cardigan, about construction especially. So when you start knitting this cardigan, you cast on stitches that you need for your back yoke, and then you use short rows to kind of raise this part and this part over here a little bit. So as you kind of see, you have this curved line under the neckline over here, so it gives you much better fitting. So you shape it for the back with a lot of short rows, and then you proceed with short rows to kind of make those shoulder slopes. After that, and after tons of short rows, you proceed knitting just straight flat for some time, and then you finish back yoke with some increases for the armholes. This allows you not to have a lot of excessive fabric over here that may happen with a lot of drop shoulders, so you won't have it. Then you pick up stitches for your front part, for your shoulders, add some short rows, of course. Also you have a little bit of decreases over here to shape sleeve cup, because this also helps with how it sits over here, because you don't need as much fabric over here as you needed here. That's why there are a little bit of decreases. Then you have some increases for this part of the neckline. I can show you. It's not that I have a lot of light and I can show you those decreases and increases, you know. So you have a little bit of decreases over here. Then you have increases over here. Then you need flat, straight flat. Cast on some stitches here for the neckline. And then you also cast on, and then you also increase stitches for armholes. After that, you join under the arms and you continue knitting back and forth as you're knitting cardigan. At some point, when it's recommended in pattern, you start adding some amount of decreases. Please let me focus. So as you can see, this line isn't straight of the cardigan. It's a little bit curved, and you add like, I don't remember, two or three decreases, something like that. Then you need 1 by 1 ribbed hem. Then you cast on stitch. Then you pick up stitches for sleeves, and you do a lot of short rows. Like literally, you have tons of short rows. So this is kind of, if I'm not mistaken, like you got still here this short rows. So you're almost getting to the same level as over here. You cannot see my short rows with this yarn, of course, because pure Lana and Kitseta creates such a nice fabric, but let's finish with construction and then I will share everything related to the yarn. So you do tons of short rows, then you knit with some decreases, but as you can see, there are no drastic decreases over here happening. And then you switch to 1 by 1 rib, knit cuff, finish it with Italian bind off with 2 setup rows, and repeat the same for second slip. Then you pick up stitches for one of the button bands. You need one without any buttonholes, because you'll attach buttons on it. And then you need second one with buttonholes. And Kate recommends a way how to add those buttonholes without cutting the yarn. Hands down, this is the perfect way to knit your button band for buttons, like literally. That's what you needed. And this is a really nice way. I think that this is the best way, and that is so described, because I had also similar way of knitting buttonholes without cutting yarn on my cardigan by other loops, but I think this version was easier because over there I had to go to the to the pattern each time when I needed to do another buttonhole, but over here I didn't need to do so it was easier. And then you pick up stitches for the neckline and you do it with 1 by 1 rib as well, and you add this tiny buttonhole as well. So over here basically you have one more buttonhole, then you need the same amount of rows, and once again buttonhole and bind off at the same time. As this is double folded neckline, you have to sew it down. Designer recommends to do it in a way that you pick up stitches and at the same time you add second, like you kind of like picking up stitches using this needle, and then you kind of doing yarn overs over second needle. So when you when you finish this picking up stitches, you have 2 sets of stitches, one that you will use for knitting and another one that you will use for bind off. If you ask me, that's a pain in the ass. Like, I'm sorry, that's horrible to knit after. It really makes sense because binding off is much easier. The bind off part looks neat. I would say that it looks much neater than I usually do when I do the same with casting off and sewing down at the same time. But it was painful to knit because when you knit in this, I knit pretty tightly and my stitches are kind of tight, and when you have some stitches on the needle that are moving because you need them, and others that not moving because they're just on the separate needle, it can be frustrating. I don't know if it makes sense, my description, but really knitting this neckline wasn't perfect for me and it really hurt my hands. So it was worth it. Like at the end of the day, it looks nice, but it hurt my hands really a lot. But not like another sweater that I have. So would I recommend this pattern? Of course. Would I proceed with this type of neckline, of picking up stitches for the neckline? Not sure. That's your choice. But I definitely recommend knitting this cardigan. And as for the yarn, I've used Pure Lana by Gepard, this Kid Seta by Gepard yarn. And Pure Lana is kinda really nice and soft to touch yarn, but it peels a lot. And as over here you'll combine it with mohair yarn, you won't get a lot of peeling, but you'll get this soft yarn. I don't know, it's so nice. I don't have a lot of itch and irritation with this yarn because I'm not sensitive to alpaca. I'm a little bit sensitive to mohair, but with this mohair I can wear it with my bare hands. As you can see, like for example over here I have a tank top with my shoulders open, and I wore like this cardigan for the whole day with this top, and it was okay. Important note with this yarn that it bleeds. It bleeds terribly. While I was knitting, my hands were blue. You know, like really blue. That's why be careful when you wash this yarn for the first time. Like, better not to do it with other colors. I was afraid that it may dye my tank top if I, for example, got a little bit sweaty, but it didn't happen. So it's not a problem. And as you can see, I've also attached buttons. Finding buttons wasn't the easiest task for me over here. I ordered like 4 different buttons and I wasn't sure which one to add. Those are like black with grayish undertone buttons, and surprisingly when I attached them, that grayish white undertone became kind of like a little bit bluish. I think that because how it looks, you know, with the yarns that I've used to attach those buttons and with the background, so it kind of sits well. So highly recommend. Nice cardigan, really nice fitting. I've knitted size 3 and all my bust dimension and my height and so on will be added in the comment at the very bottom of the description. You know, I need to put it right away in an appropriate place so I won't end up with a lot of mess in the room after finishing recording. The next finished object is the one that I promised you that I will have, but I didn't have it as work in progress last time, of course. Last time I've showed you my fingerless mittens from Winter's Essentials set, and today I have for you Winter Essentials beanie. So if you're curious about everything related to mittens, they're also 2x2 ribbed, you can go and check out my previous podcast episode where I'm sharing everything about it, and I'm sharing a lot about yarn over there, so I won't be repeating myself, just like short info about yarn. This is Olivia & Oliver Fibers Classic Decay yarn in a colorway A Bloom. It looks like this in the skin. This is from previous year advent calendar, and this dyer had some amount of yarn dyed up after the end of advent season, so it was possible to buy some amount of yarns from like every colorway that she designed. So I decided to buy 4 skeins of this one, and I have full 2 skeins and a little bit of, I think around half of a skein from finishing mittens and the hat. So let's talk a little bit about hat. Yes, I will even wear it. I hope that I look nice. I will also add some photos over here. It's kind of similar to hipster hat, but it has a little bit different type of decreases. Let me grab hipster hat so we can compare them. So this is my hipster hat. It is knitted with Double Sunday by Garn, and you can see it peels. Like it peels a lot. We will see what will happen with peeling of this hat, but it feels less soft than this, so I hope it will peel less. So both of those hats are knitted with 2x2 rib. Both of them have Italian cast on, but I would say that with time my cast on improved, because I think that I didn't have double knitted rows over here for this hipster hat, but as you can see I have them here, so it looks much better, I would say. And this one is a little bit longer. So what's the difference? Because basically you're knitting just two similar 2x2 ribbed hats, and the difference is in the crown. Let me show it. At first this one. This is Winter Essentials. Yeah, I know I have over here some not pretty stitches from time to time, but as you can see, you're decreasing stitches not to one column, but kind of like into this 2x2 rib part. So you have column of knit stitches, then column of purl, and then column of knit stitches, and you're kind of decreasing under them. As for the hipster hat, it's hard to see, dark hat, but you have only this column of knit stitches, and you're decreasing kinda into them. So you, at the very end, you get this just one column of knit stitches at 4 points of decreases. Over here you also have 4 points of decreases, but as you can see, yeah, it's easier to show also because it's light. As you can see, you'll have much more stitches at the very end. And I would say that this point doesn't look really neat. I did everything as it was written in instruction, but I think that if this yarn would be a little bit fluffier, it would look better. But I'm used just superwash merino, so not a lot of fluff. Maybe some soft silk mohair may improve it, but my forehead isn't ready for any soft silk mohair. I'll be like scratching all the time because this part of my head is really sensitive. And this feels okay. This feels right. It's not too big, it's not too small. I really enjoyed knitting it. I don't know how about you, but for me knitting 2x2 rib is kind of a little bit more mindless than knitting 1x1 rib. And honestly, it looks much better when I knit 2x2 rib than 1x1 rib. As you may saw on my cardigan, there were some wonky stitches in 1x1 rib, but over here we don't have such issues. So my second finished object. I really recommend you buying this pattern by Paulastrickt, because in the price of one pattern, like hat, for example, like in the price of a hat pattern, you get hat fingerless mitts, full mitts. Of course, you can easily modify full mitts to fingerless mitts. Nevertheless, also you'll have a neck warmer over there. So you kind of have four patterns in the price of one pattern. And by the way, I was afraid that this hat would be too loose and I could be a little bit cold wearing it, but it is knitted with 3mm needles on DK weight. You're knitting on 3mm needles with DK weight yarn. That's why you kind of have really stiff gauge. I would say that the hat's almost identical with widths, but this one has a little tighter gauge, and this is by design. And the last finished object that I have over here is probably the most controversial one, because it's kind of a finished object. It was waiting to be finished for the whole year and some bits, but I'm not sure that this is a finished object, and probably I'll have to frog a lot of it. Can you guess what it is? This is my snow sweater by Knitting for Olive. It was a test knit previous year. They had pretty tight deadline, and when they asked me to test it, they told me that it could be enough to finish body and one sleeve. And as you may guess, second sleeve was waiting for a long time to be done. I finished second sleeve like yesterday. I haven't blocked it yet, but I just wanted to share with you because I understood that if I won't share it now, no one knows when I will have time with my new job to finish it and to record it. So yeah, if you're curious about construction of this sweater and everything related to it in details, you can go check out my video about wearable Christmas knitting patterns. It will be linked somewhere here and also in the description. Highly recommend that video because they're really Christmas patterns and Christmas sweaters that you may wear like on every day. Because I feel that this one can be part of my usual work wardrobe. So why not to wear it? Okay, this is circular yoke construction that you may feel like that's obvious for Christmas sweater, like we have a lot of them. Yes, but you don't have any color work over here. So that's a little bit different. You have one by one rib details on the neckline. So you start knitting from the neck, you cast on stitches, and you knit along parts of one by one rib, then you fold it together, knit all stitches together so you kind of get folded neckline. Then you start knitting yoke with tons of short rows and increases as usual for the circular yoke. Then you split for sleeves. I don't remember having any raglan increases over here, and I think that there is no such of them. That's why it has this a little bit strange part over here. This could be improved by adding some raglan increases over here. So when you need to add a little bit more fabric over here under the arm, you won't increase these bits. But this is kind of like how the pattern is written. Then you knit body simply, like just knitting around, really monotonous work. Then you knit one by one ribbed hem. It's kind of like not a big deal, just one by one rib, then you finish it, and that's it. The magic starts when you start knitting sleeves. Okay, this sleeve looks magical, you may think, right? But it's too small. It's a little bit short. It's a little bit tighter than I'd like to wear it. I have stretched it while blocking, so it's not too short, but it's on the shorter side. It's also stiff, like it's really stiff. As you can, if you compare it to this one, this part isn't stiff, but this one really is. And we are back because my camera died. I think that this is the phrase that you're hearing from every podcaster, that usually when they're recording something, their camera dies. Yeah, it is. I have like several of them because usually one is not enough because there would be a lot of cut-offs. So, getting back to the sleeve. It is stiff because this is 3 stranded color work on a small circumference. You have a sleeve. You have 3 colors color work. And you have mine, not you, but I have my tight tension. And this means a little bit of a disaster. I heard that there is a possibility to knit it with kind of inside out. That wasn't my option. And when I was knitting my first sleeve, I was kind of under stress to finish this task knit, kind of needed to knit it fast. That's why I forgot to switch needles over here, especially for this 3 colors part. I forgot to switch my needles, and that's why it's even stiffer than it should be. With a little bit bigger needle size, that could be better. So I knitted the sleeve. Also, I have a little bit of a strange increase over here, but it was kind of like in the pattern, and they changed it a little bit, but I didn't want to reknit it. You know, like sometimes some test knits can be really straight and you don't have any options to fix something, but you love. And over here is also like this strange part that I haven't fixed because I think that it was kind of some mistake in the pattern while I was testing it, but I needed to go quickly I needed to proceed quickly, so I decided to keep it as is. It's almost not visible, so we can live with it, but Okay, so this year I decided that it's finally, like 2 weeks ago, I decided that it's finally time to cut back and try to knit second sleeve. I started knitting on the same needle size, but as I mentioned, first sleeve was kind of stretched to cut the needed length while blocking, so it's a little bit thinner than the first one, and then second one is a little bit wider. It looks nice, but I decided that I'm not ready to have all of those snowflakes during this part of sleeve. Like, they look beautiful, but you'll have tons of long floats, and if you're not really good at managing them and you're a little bit lazy, you may struggle. It looks like this. As you can see, there are a lot of floats, so I decided not to do the same for second sleeve, and I decided that I will just need the chart for trees, and then maybe I will add some snowflakes above those trees in case, like with duplicated stitch, in case I would decide to do it. And the plan was to frog first sleeve after finishing this one, to have kind of similar sleeves and no problems with shaping, no problems with different size, so I won't have them. And also there is no strange pop over here. So sleeves are knitted nicely. You don't need to do any decreases. You just add several increases to get appropriate stitch count, and that's all. Then I got to this part with snowflakes and trees. I've switched to bigger needle, but as you can see, my sleeve still kind of goes a little bit over here, kind of squished a little bit, because my colorwork tension in the bust, of course I haven't blocked it, so I need to block and it will relax a little bit. Over here, for example, it really needs some good blocking, but I tried different tactics over here. I tried to knit with magic loop, then I tried to use traveling loop, when you kind of pull your needle every end stitches or end bits of stitches. So over here it's easier to kind of have, like, as you can see, if I try to pull this sleeve, you can see that there is a clear line even after blocking. Over here I don't have this part because this is knitted partially not on the magic loop, and that one was fully knitted as a magic loop. But I'm not sure. I'm not sold on those trees. I'm not sure that they look like trees. Like, I don't know. I still think that I've chosen wrong colors, wrong color scheme. A lot of people on my previous video and on my Instagram mentioned to me that this is kind of like really wearable amount of contrast, and you can wear this sweater outside of Christmas theme, outside of like Christmas themed everything around, kind of just winter jumper. I don't know. It feels like not enough of contrast to clearly see the tails of those trees. That's why for me it looks a little bit messy. I can show you floats. They look not bad. Like, really. But I don't know. So, I need your advice. What should I do? For now, I will leave it like that, because it's end of November. We have Christmas party, I think, on 4th of December, so I will wear this to the office somewhere near, like that, with two different sleeves. No one will notice that one of the sleeves is a little bit longer or a little bit wider, because I've tried to wear it like around the house, take a look at myself in the mirror. After some time, it doesn't look like too terrible. If you're a knitter, you'll see that they're a little bit different, but it's not too drastic. So, for sure I need to reknit this sleeve, the first one, because it's stretched, this part is really stiff, but what should I do? Should I do the same sleeve as this one? And struggle a little bit with this color work because it really hurt my hands. Maybe you'll have some recommendations for me how to knit 3 colors color work. Or should I just, frog this part? Frog hold this sleeve and just knit in the region in main color the whole sleeve, kinda make it balloonish, and finish with 1 by 1 rib at the end of the cuff. Let me know. I'm confused and I'm not sure that it really worth the hassle with reknitting bits of color work and then duplicating stitches with a lot of snow. Like really, I'm tired of this sleeve. I was knitting, I think that I spent 3 evenings just knitting this bit. Like, that's a lot. I don't know. From one side, this sleeve looks really nice. It's cute. But do I need really to struggle with it? What do you think? Please let me know. And now let's go to whips. We have some good bits over there. The first one is my first ever fully cabled cardigan. You may recognize it. This is Dagmar Jacket, of course. I'm knitting this with yarn that was kindly gifted to me by Selected Yarns. It's kinda big brand that has sub-brands like Kremke, BC Garn. They also have this Hey Mama Wolf. Okay, that's nice to have the wall of yarn over here, but I was afraid that something will fall off. So they have this new, I think this is new sub-brand Hey Mama Wolf. It looks like this, and they kindly sent it to me as I am on their PR list, and they sent me yarn to try. I'm not obliged to share anything, to give my honest feedback or something like that, or kind of lie if I don't like it but still tell you about this. No, nothing like that. They just sent it to me. They don't expect like anything. There's no strings attached, but I really like this brand and all of Selected Yarns. I have some bits of Kremke, of BC Garn, of a lot of yarns, and I plan to buy 1 more sweater quantity of BC Garn to knit myself colorwork sweater, but with colorwork yoke over here, and only main color and contrast color. But let's not talk about this right now. So this is their new yarn. This is Biara. So this is 70% wool, 30% alpaca yarn. By the way, I forgot to mention yarn that I've used for my snow sweater. That was fully knitted, fully merino and soft silky mohair. Colors will be on my Ravelry and probably mention. Yeah, on Ravelry. That would be easier. And also on Instagram I have mentioned all of them. So let's get back to Dagmar sweater. This is a tweedy yarn. It looks like this. I have over here some pink, blue, green, yellow speckles, like everything's happening over here. And this is DK weight yarn. Over here is in 100 gram skein. You'll get 220 meters. Really like the fact that you have 100 gram skein, because there are a lot of yardage, and this means less ends. It feels, like a little bit scratchy, woolly, kinda how you may expect Dagmar Jacket may feel, right? Because this is rustic cardigan. I held this yarn together with BC Garn Svala. I was checking the label. This is their alpaca yarn. This is lace weight alpaca without silk, without anything. This is just, like fluffy alpaca. It is soft. It is really, really soft. No shine. It's made. It's like just alpaca fluff that you may need to kind of blend in a little bit all those speckles of the main yarn. So this is a resultant fabric. hope I didn't look too spooky. And let's put it like that. So you can see it. And you can see amount of work that I've done on this Dagmar jacket, you know. This is a pattern by PetiteKnit. You've probably heard about it. This is her kind of nice twist on classic Aran sweaters with cables. This is a drop shoulder cardigan that you start knitting from the back yoke. You are shaping it as usual with increases. Over here you have this line over here, and when you increase and you start working in the pattern. In the middle we have a lot of honeycomb stitch, then you have small cable, then you have these diamond cables, once again small cable, and then some seed stitch. It works really easy. I would say that this is really meditative pattern repeat, and you kind of start knitting it and you can get into the rhythm and knit it. There is no arm shaping over here, but I think that I would prefer having some of them. We'll see, maybe I will add, because I don't have a lot of, as you can see, I have only back yoke and one of the front yokes. This pattern, when you start knitting your shoulders, recommends you how to pick up stitches, but it doesn't tell you how to do that. You have over here nice, like it creates you a nice shoulder, but it doesn't help you with how to combine, for example, these cables. I just moved a little bit pattern, like I have moved just a little bit stitch pattern, so I can kind of start in that way that this thin cables would align on each side of this kind of shoulder seam, let's call it like that. That's not too complicated. I just moved it, I think, by one stitch, and then I will have, when I will be joining over here under the arm, I will have to add one additional stitch that I haven't knitted in my shoulder. The same I will do on another shoulder, so kind of I will have the same aligning of cables on the back. I think that it's impossible to align this diamond cable, because it won't work. Really, it won't work, because you're kind of knitting this part flat without any increases when you form this diamond, and on the back yoke you're increasing, so it will start kind of not on the same row. You will have all of those stitches for the cable. Then after pick up in stitches and managing to align your cables, you start knitting for some amount of time without any increases, and you increase to get this beautiful round neck, and then you knit flat, the same stitch repeat, the same stitch pattern over and over again till you get to the recommended amount of length, and you kind of got it like that. Then you do the same with your second part and join under the arms, and then you finish body with 1 by 1 rib. Then you pick up stitches for sleeves. Sleeves will be also in the same stitch pattern, and over here under the arm you will have a lot of seed stitch, no, moss stitch. I think this is seed stitch with this type of stitch. This one. I hope that I won't have to do a lot of stitch management to get nice shoulder over here, but and sleeve, I mean, but I will double check. Maybe there should be some changes. The only thing that I'm worried about is 1 by 1 rib, because this yarn is kind of not really even, as it is just spun in that way that usually with 3D yarn you have some thinner and you may have some thinner parts with such yarn, so it kind of can be a little bit problematic keeping the tension even for wrong and right side of 1 by 1 rib. So I'm thinking maybe I can replace 1 by 1 rib with 2 by 2 rib. Then knit button bands. They knitted in 1 by 1 rib, but I can do them in double knitting. using the same techniques that I've used for MorecaKnit cardigan. Then I will kind of cut till here with my 2x2 planks in double knitting, and then I will pick up stitches and knit the neckline with 2x2 rib as well. What do you think? I think that sounds like a plan. I think that I have enough yarn to do so I'll keep you posted. And like, let me show you a little bit over here. It is so beautiful. Like really, really beautiful. I like it. And let's go to my next work in progress. So, what do I have here? I have over here a dress work in progress. It may become just a sweater, not a dress. We will see. This is Camilla dress. For now it looks like this. On the back, no, this is front. This is the front part. And over here you have a back. It's not blocked. I just finished the body part. And as you have a lot of increases over here, it crunches a little bit and it's in black, so it's hard to see. There will be a photo. This is a raglan dress knitted on 6mm needles with 2 strands of silk mohair held together with one strand of sequin yarn. But I decided to go just with, once again, BC Garn Swallow. That was also kindly gifted to me by BC Garn. In color black. It is knitted using 2 strands. I was sure that knitting something like that in mohair close to my skin may be not a great idea, especially if this is something light and soft that you cannot wear anything underneath. My back won't appreciate mohair over there, like too close to the skin. That's why it's alpaca. I need to hide somehow my needles because I don't like this sound and I like to knit with metal needles. I think that for me this deep V would be a front part. I would just add a small, I've just sew down a little bit over here, kind of not to open it too much. From the back, no, from the front you have a round neck. On the back you have kind of deep V that you form just increasing on both sides, and you connect 2 parts together and bind off. She has Camilla sweater that is kind of similar, but this is just a sweater. And as this is raglan, you first start knitting from the yoke. You cast on stitches, as this is sweater that you are knitting flat. You can allow yourself to raise the back without short rows. You just do it with increases, and you put your stitch. You put markers, 4 points of increases, and as usual, you in every other row you do increases for sleeves, front part and back part, and every 4 rows you do increase for the V-neck. Then you knit like that for some time, then you start doing rapid increases like every other row on both fronts. So you kind of doing the same as you do for your raglan stitches. You do the same amount of decreases at some point. Then you split for sleeves. And when you start knitting only body, you start doing more rapid increases for your V parts, for your front parts that will overlap. You start doing increases on on right and wrong side. This is the reason why it's pulling a little bit. It should be like that, and currently it's scrunched a little bit. My camera is going mad with a lot of black colors, so bear with me. After you knit to the appropriate length that you feel comfortable with, you join in the round everything. The pattern will walk you through how to do it, and then you bind off using I-cord. Just close stitches with I-cord, and over here I decided to add some sparkles. As you can see, this is BC Garn. No, this is Kremke Twinny. A lot of BC Garn and Kremke over here. That one I bought by myself, so it will add just a little bit of shine, but not too much. And I will use the same yarn combo, like two strands of alpaca and one strand of this sparkle, to trim over here I-cord, because you will go and pick up stitches for your both fronts and do I-cord over there, so there will be also some sparkles. And at the end of the sleeve I will also add on I-cord the same finishing with sparkles. After that, after the part where you bind off your body, you will then pick up stitches and start knitting your skirt part, because this is obviously a dress, so you need a skirt. And this bit will be kind of like your waistline. I think that I would add elastic then inside the I-cord to cinch it a little bit. And after knitting skirt with some shaping, you take your stitches that you put on hold and knit a sleeve. As you can see, I am knitting my sleeve right now. It looks so tiny, like, what is this? Like, why it's so small and so tiny? But I'm trusting the process and I know that it will work out. I knitted one more similar pattern, cardigan with a bow. It has really similar construction. So I trust the process. I know that it will grow a little bit with blocking, plus it doesn't need to have a lot of positive ease. It's kind of unusual over here on this channel to have not a lot of positive ease on some knitted garments. This is one of those things. So currently I'm knitting one sleeve, then I will do second sleeve, and I'm still on the hands, should I knit skirt or not. Maybe should I do skirt as like skirt, not like a dress, but like top and skirt. Or maybe I don't need to do it at all. I'm afraid that anything that will be on your bum won't last for a long time, especially when you sit on a chair, you know, like sometimes your jeans may not last for a long time. So what do you think? Should I knit myself the whole dress, or top would be pretty nice addition to my wardrobe? My friend told me that I don't need to knit a dress, and she also can't understand like knitted dress, especially that this one will be slightly transparent, so we can't imagine how it will look on the bum. But I bought the pattern. I know that you could buy a pattern only just for Camilla sweater, but I decided to go with dress to be sure that if I want I will have a dress. But I think this top would be better as a top. You need to think. A lot of questions to you, my dear friends. A lot of help needed here. And the last work in progress that I have for you, I literally started 2 hours ago. I just want something small. I know that I have a lot of whips. Some of them are lying on the shelf because I'm not ready to get back to them right now. I don't know what's happening with me with Sophie's scarf. It's Sophie hood. It's still on the ice. I don't know. Something isn't working out there, so it's waiting. Joe's sweater is also waiting because, I don't know, it's getting really cold over there on the street, and I'm not sure that that half transparent sweater will work out right now. This Camilla aka dress will work nicely for some Christmas holidays because it's black with some sparkles, but that blue sweater, I don't know. So bear with me, it will be on some pose. And I'm knitting myself mittens because it's really cold. I have 2 pairs of mittens, but one of them is slightly short, one of them is slightly long. I can go and fix them, but why if I can knit one more pair of mittens, right? So I'm using Lamana Coma Cashmere. This is their kinda DK weight yarn, but I would say sport yarn. You can kinda use it for the patterns that recommends you to use Cardiff Cashmere, for example, or like knitting for olive merino with knitting for olive soft silk mohair, because usually it gets you a little bit, not a DK weight gauge, it's kind of more like a sport weight, or you change some sport weight yarn on this one. you will get 25-gram ball with 125 meters. So on 50 grams you'll have quite a lot of yardage for this gauge, like it's sport weight almost. And I'm knitting Chantal mittens. I like MorecaKnit. I like her attention to the details. That's why I am knitting her mitten. That's not a lot currently. And you know, this is slip stitch pattern on the black yarn. What I'm trying to show you, I don't know, but still. I had 2 or 3 balls left over from one of my vests, so this was also gifted for task knit. But I have some yarn, some of this yarn bought for myself as well. So no worries. And it's really nice. I know that it's hard to see this structure, but it would be really warm because as you have, as over here would be slip stitch pattern, this means that the fabric would be a little bit more dense, and it will give me a little bit more warmth. As I mentioned before, it can be cold in Warsaw and I like to walk a lot. That's why I need something, you know, something really warm, but at the same time delicate. I have one pair of mittens that I've knitted like in a day with bulky gauge, I think, but they kind of look like handmade. You know what I mean? Like from time to time you want to have something that has this store-bought vibe, and I think that this mitten will be in that way. Plus, from time to time I need to grab something to work, because like in the between meetings maybe I don't have time to go from the office to home, as I have from time to time late meetings, so I can read a book or maybe knit a little bit. And that hat that I've showed you in my finished objects was one of the things that I was knitting from time to time at work, or maybe like in between meetings, or maybe on some meetings when I need to think and focus. I need to keep my hands busy so I can focus a little bit better way. That's why we're having one more whip. And as for the yarn, I don't remember if I showed you this, so I will show you once again. I bought myself 7 balls of Pasquale cashmere. They're cashmere 628. This would be one more, I think, Maggie West, because my friend really loves mine version. Maybe I can gift her that one and knit myself another one, because that one is in light gray, this one in darker gray. And I really want to compare this cashmere with Cardiff cashmere, because it feels softer, and before blocking it has much more halo. So I want to compare them and I want to share with you. This cashmere is a little bit more expensive. I bought it on sale because this is kind of leftovers of this specific dye lot, and the dye lot was changed, or the color name was changed, something like that. So I bought it with, I think, 20% discount. That's a bargain. And for now I'm not starting this project. I'm promising myself to finish some of the whips that I have, but this would be nice. And I know that with cashmere yarn everything just flies off the needles. And we will see, will I finish with planned Maggie West, or may I need something else, you know, sometimes this happens. And as for Chantal, by the way, as for Chantal mittens, MorecaKnit is currently testing Chantal hat. It has 1x1 rib and slip stitch pattern on the crown with cool decreases, kind of like decreases that go in a circle. So we'll see, maybe next time you will see it on my needles. Let's hope that next time you will see at least one finished object. I'm sure that if I want to proceed with dress, you will see that top as finished object. And that's it, my dears. Thank you all for being here, for spending this time with me. Happy knitting, happy whatever you're doing, and don't forget to subscribe.